whole national pride thing, where in America you feel like you drive by a normal suburban street and every garden has like the Star Spangled Banner in front of it. Maybe not every, I'm over exaggerating here, but it's national pride is a very good thing and a very open thing in America. And even though it's a bit too much for me, sometimes it annoys me. Sometimes I like that you guys like your country. That's what you should do. You should be allowed to feel at home and feel comfortable and feel like your country is great because it's your home. You like your home. I like my home. I think it's a bit sad if you don't. And the thing is that in Germany, because of our history and because everybody keeps telling us to feel bad, we are really, really scared to show national pride, which, again, I think is sad because I don't feel like being...
Again, I'm going to comment on this in a second. I'm going to let myself finish.
Patriotic, if you don't overdo it, automatically means you're a nationalist. I don't think my country's better than other countries, but I like my country and it's my home, and I might like a friend's house better than my house because it's bigger or because the garden is nicer or because I really like my friend's parents or something, but that will never change the fact that my home is my home and it will always have a special something that no other house can offer. And I feel like it should be the same with your country. You can't criticize it. You should criticize it. I don't think there's anything worse than not criticizing yourself and things that you are involved with. Keep your eyes open for God's sakes. But I really don't like that the only occasion that Germans dare to take their flag out is during soccer events. And then many people tend to overdo it, like, aha, now we're allowed to do it. And then it always turns into this whole, we're gonna get back at you now for not letting us be proud of Germany. It's, if you want to do it, do it. That's something I don't like. That even within Germany, if you say, I like Germany, I like this and this and that, and I think this is better in Germany than in wherever, there will be Germans that look at you like, you're a bit right-wing, aren't you?
Yeah.
It's just...
I don't think it's that bad. And I don't think it was that bad back then either. I'm the fact why I just made a face at that and I'm cringing a bit at that is because I know what I mean. I know what I meant. But I think the way I'm putting it is very easily misconstrued. So basically, let me rephrase that or re-explain that. Because I think, interestingly enough, especially from an American perspective, listening to this, people who I'm trying to criticize here might feel reaffirmed by what I'm saying. What I was basically saying is that if you're not aware of how being patriotic, I hate that word, being liking Germany as a German can feel sometimes, like it can feel like you're always on thin ice. Then, coming from that perspective, I still think that is unnecessary. I still really like the house, the friend's house versus your house, a metaphor that I brought up here. I guess that's not a metaphor, but whatever. Doesn't matter. Look at the lip major. You might call it patriotism, you might call it nostalgia, you might just call it childhood memories, whatever it is. You're going to have some sort of connection to the place that you come from. It's not going to be, usually it's complicated in some way, but home is a very specific feeling, and it's disconnected in large parts from objective measurements of this is good, this is bad. I still very much agree with that. I also agree that I find it very, very sad to this day when I see comments by Germans under content that is in some way German related, in which Germany or Germans or the German language is being poked fun at. And people just basically blindly agree, not only blindly agree to it, but try to one-up it by saying yeah, German really is so ugly. I always wonder why I couldn't have been born speaking, etc. XYZ. Or, yeah, Germany really sucks. I hate it here. Which, to me, always seems like this weird reflexive reaction to no, yeah, I really am shit. It reminds me of this self-deprecating thing of like somebody who has really, really low self-esteem and then lets people basically bully them because they're like, no, you're right, because that's easiest to avoid more criticism with, you know? However, American patriotism has always irked me. And basically, I phrased it in this video as like the nice version of that, of like, it's a bit too much for me, but I get it and it's fine. I don't think it's fine. I don't think it's fine to that extent. I think it's weird to define yourself as a patriot because to me, you know, having a sentimental feeling about your home is one thing, but making that part of your identity, like making the fact that you define yourself by your heritage a part of your identity, that's a bit too much for me. And even if it isn't outright nationalism, it very much opens the door to that depending on like other contexts and circumstances. So what I would say today, which comes from the same sentiment, overall, my opinion about this hasn't changed that much. It annoys me a lot when people feel like, you know, poking fun at Germans, German is basically a free-for-all. You know, anybody gets to do it. Because if you say, hey, that's not fair, you get to be like, you don't get to speak. You did the Nazi thing. We did. It was fucking horrible, and it needs to be remembered and acknowledged and never repeated. But I get to have being German as an identity. I don't need patriot as part of my identity. I think that's the distinction I'm trying to make. Well, see, there's the thing. And this is why I'm trying to like, this is why I wanted to readdress this basically, because I might be super certain of what I meant when I said something and somebody else might understand something completely different. So Jay, for example, when you say you should always be proud of your heritage, you could either mean something that I agree with or you could mean something that I don't agree with, right? Because at the end of the day, heritage to me is a term that evokes weird shit. Like, you didn't contribute to it, right? You don't contribute to where you come from. So to me, it's not a matter of pride in the sense of, I am proud to be of people XYZ. How can you be proud of that? Like, proud in the sense of an accomplishment of like, aha. But you get to have self-worth while resting in an identity of which your nationality is a part. So basically, we always run into a problem with the word proud or pride, which, you know, that's why people are like, why is gay pride a thing? So there's the pride that is being proud of something you accomplished, you did, whatever. And there's the pride that is basically personal pride, which is basically the thing that gets hurt when somebody disrespects you, right? A lot of the time when heritage pride is brought up in a US context from a European, maybe especially German perspective, it tends to like immediately feel like being overdone because we tend to be like, it's not, you know, you didn't do anything. You just happen to be American. Calm down. This, of course, has cultural and historical reasons, and it's fine. Honestly, it's fine. It's annoying to Europeans with how, because it often does glide into that we're better than everyone else. You're not, and America isn't. America certainly isn't, and neither is Germany. So what I'm talking about when I say it's fine to be patriotic, I wouldn't use that word now, but what I meant here is the same thing I mean now. It is fine to have your nationality be part of who you are and not want that trampled on and want to be able to like enjoy where you're from. However, it is not fine to feel in any way superior to somebody else because you're from here and they're from here. That has never made any more sense to me than beating yourself up over where you're from, right? The weird self-flagellation that by now also some Americans do. again, there's a difference between being like, you know, this is what's going on in my country right now, and I don't feel comfortable being associated with that by, you know, guilty by association. That's a different thing. But you can criticize and not like what's going on where you live and still, on a personal level, feel attached. Because that's basically it. It's a feeling of attachment. And attachment is fine. Feeling fond of your home is totally fine. Supporting a soccer team or whatever other friggin' team you want to support is a natural thing to want to do. I'm not into the sports. But that's fine. That's fine as well. The only thing that bothers me about that in Germany is the thing that I mentioned in the video. People then tend to, there's some people that overcompensate in those times where, you know, sort of a repressed thing comes out where they suddenly feel like, it's soccer season, I can now yell chauvinistic shit at people, which is also not okay. Something that came up in the chat is the thing of like heritage in the US. That's a very interesting topic. Summed up, Italian heritage, or German heritage, or whatever heritage as it exists in the US, to many Europeans seems borderline ridiculous, because some parts of the American population have this tendency to say, I'm German, when, you know, their grandpa was from Germany. When, you know, as a German, when you hear I'm German, you're going to assume that this is somebody who like immigrated from Germany themselves. So that's a bit of a different topic, right? Having like pride about an identity that is literally inherited from a previous generation. But I'm just talking about your own national identity associated with the country that you grew up in, that you were born in, that you, whatever, the one that you identify with. So again, don't have an issue with loving your home. I do have an issue with feeling like that makes you better or entitled to something, or gatekeeping others, or, you know, that sort of stuff. But I also think it's very sad when, and there is a certain tendency in a part of the German population to do this, to be apologetic about where you're from. I think that's the right word to sum it up about how I feel. Because, you know, you didn't contribute to it. So you don't get to walk around and be like, ha 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 ha, I am German. And that's makes me better than you. I do think it's a bit, it's very off-putting to me to make that much of who you are. But it's equally weird to me to be ashamed of something that you didn't contribute to. That's basically exactly how I felt back then. It's also what I tried to express here. I'm not sure I did with the words that I used, because some of the words that I used, I said meaning what I just elaborated on, probably unnecessarily, but I felt like I had to. But they sound like covert. They sound like I'm softballing nationalism, depending on who's listening, right? They shouldn't. I do think they can be understood perfectly well the way that I meant them, but I don't want to be misconstrued in this.